After 8 fucking years, I have finally experienced the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Like, I can't believe it. I thought this was never going to happen. I thought we were never going to get this movie, and it's finally here, and I have finally watched it. It is absolutely insane. And despite the negative reviews, it doesn't even matter. It's finally here. You don't even have to play the games anymore. You can smash that laptop, go to the movie theater, and experience the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It's insane. And how do I feel now? I'm satisfied. I'm pretty satisfied. Hey guys, welcome back to the Groundless Channel and welcome back to another movie review. And the movie we're reviewing today is based off a huge video game franchise with just a whole load of games. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there. Just a whole load of games and a whole load of jump scares. Just a bunch of jump scares. Too many jump scares. And this movie also has jump scares. Yeah, just a lot of jump scares. We love jump scares. And a very interesting cast as well, particularly Matthew Lillard coming back as a villain after so many years. And yeah, he still got it. And the movie is, and I can't believe I'm actually saying it, Five Nights at Freddy's. I can't believe we have made it this far. The FNAF movie has finally been released, and Scott Cawthon, he did it. He made a fucking FNAF movie. I thought it was never gonna happen. I was like, no way, this shit's cancelled. Just give up on it. It's never gonna happen. And here we are, the movie's out, and it is fucking crazy. And it simply just felt unreal knowing that a Five Nights at Freddy's movie is now officially playing in theaters, and it felt so weird. And I went into the movie very excited, but also really nervous. I knew about the really mixed reactions that was going around with this movie and the really low Rotten Tomato score. Like, I was very nervous going into this movie, but also extremely pumped just to finally see a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And well, I have finally seen it. So, what did I think of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Well, I will say, although it has a lot of issues, I had a fairly good time with this movie. As someone who grew up playing like the first 4 or 5 games and just was really invested into the like parts of the lore and just all of the games and stuff, I will say that I was fairly satisfied walking out of this movie. It's not a perfect movie, it has its issues, but you could tell, like, everyone, the director, Scott Cawthon, Jason Blum, they were like all passionate about this movie and wanted to just make it for the fans, and I felt it. I really did. I think they did a fairly good job with this movie. And yes, it has its issues, and I will get to that later, but for right now, let's talk about some positives. I want to start off talking about the look of this movie. Like, this is a pretty gorgeous looking movie. Like, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria looks actually really nice, and I like the chessboard designs on the walls and stuff. It looks very accurate to how it looked in like the first video game. That's all cool. And of course, the animatronics themselves, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, all of them look incredible. They all look so shockingly accurate to how they looked in the original Five Nights at Freddy's, and it is pretty amazing. And you could just fucking tell from the trailers alone, like, the animatronics look so damn good, and their movements are also pretty good. The only character or animatronic that I thought looked kind of weird when they moved was the cupcake. Like, literally, there was a shot in the movie where the cupcake literally just looked like it was fucking floating. That was weird, but other than that, the movements of the animatronics, the way they look so good, and even other designs like Spring Bonnie, as you've seen in the trailers, looks so fucking cool and terrifying as well. And yeah, visually, this is a pretty gorgeous looking movie. It's pretty great. I want to talk about some of the characters in the movie. Josh Hutcherson, who plays as Mike Schmidt, our main lead, is pretty good in this movie. He starts off, kind of off. He has a bit of a weird, like, he doesn't really get along with his sister very well, and it's kind of, that stuff's kind of weird, but as the movie continues on, you start to care a lot more about him, and, he's trying to figure out his path and stuff, which, might make some newcomers of Five Nights at Freddy's kind of, make maybe a bit be invested in his story and what he's trying to figure out. So, there's that, maybe. So yeah, and his sister, Abby, played by, I think, Piper Rubio, is also pretty good and has made me laugh a few times. And yeah, she was very adorable in this movie, and I also really liked her. And yeah, you do care about them. And of course, Matthew Lillard as William Afton, or Steve Raglan, whatever you want to call him. I really wish we got to spend more time with him, but for what we got, really enjoyed him in this movie. He, you could really tell something's off with him. You could tell he really plays like the character really well, just being this off, weird dude who's probably done some devious stuff, and you could just tell there's something wrong with him, and Matthew Lillard, I think, pulls that off really well. And then near the end, when we finally get to see him in the which, has been teased in the trailers already. Get to see him in that spring Bonnie suit. It's pretty creepy. It's, kind of funny at times, and it's just fucking madness. Like, if you enjoyed his performance as Stu Mocker in the original Scream, you are going to be pleased with what he's like in this movie. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but oh boy, he was a lot of fun, and I wish we got to see more of him. But knowing, which he has said that he is going to do more movies, as he signed a 3-picture deal, I cannot wait to see what else they do with his character, and oh yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I'm very excited. Of course, knowing it's a FNAF movie, there are going to be a lot of there are a lot of references and Easter eggs to previous games, and just a whole lot of Easter eggs and nods, and I had a lot of fun with it. As someone who grew up playing the first 4 or 5 games, I had a lot of fun with all the Easter eggs and references. I caught a couple. There were probably some that I missed, but I caught quite a few, and it put a smile on my face. I was happy with it. And there were also some YouTubers who make a cameo in this movie. There was 2 of which that stood out to me and just put a huge smile on my face. One that I can mention because they were shown in the trailer, Corey X Kenshin, in the taxi car. He was pretty good, I'll admit. For the few seconds that we had with him, he was fun. I enjoyed him. And Easter eggs, references, all that, really fun. And I guess I'll talk about the usage of the PG-13 rating, or M rating as we call it here in Australia. It was okay. There were times where they just, clearly a character is about to get killed or something, and it's about to happen, and then it just cuts away and doesn't show anything. I was like, bruh, it's so unsatisfying, and I was like, oh, you could have done so much more with that. You could have been more creative of, showing something brutal or scary without just full on, just cutting away, not showing anything. Sometimes they do that, but sometimes they don't. There was one kill in this movie that it doesn't really make sense, and it's kind of weird how they do it, but it's easily the most goriest, most brutal kill in the movie, and I was like, whoa, okay, I did not expect that. That was pretty good. For the PG-13 rating or M rating, I thought it was a pretty decent kill. There were other scenes, with some blood and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. I guess I wasn't really expecting, there to be that much blood, and yeah, there were times where I thought it was actually handled pretty well, very creatively, especially with, the sound effects of people, someone getting eaten or something, they handled that, I guess, fairly well. So sometimes it was used pretty well, and I'll admit, and a lot of times it wasn't creative at all. They just full on cut away, don't show anything, and it was really lame. But for the most part, I thought the usage of the PG-13 rating was okay. And that's about all I can say with my positives without getting into spoilers. So now it's time to get into my issues, and just know I did walk out of this movie fairly satisfied. It's just, it's a movie, and, movies aren't always perfect. So, and FNAF is definitely one of those. So going into my issues, one character that I have not talked about yet, which is Elizabeth Lail's character, who plays as the cop Vanessa, who was in, I think, Security Breach, the game, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But her character was, I'd say, interesting with what they do with her very later on in the movie, and but her character most of the time is just used for bunch of exposition dump. That's about it. There's times where I feel like she's fucking full on repeating herself, saying stuff that she's already said before, and saying stuff that we already kind of know already, and she's constantly saying it and explaining it all, and it's just like, bro, come on, we know all this stuff. You don't have to keep explaining it over and over and over. It became really annoying, and there came a point where it did feel just slow and boring, and it's like, this movie has a lot of exposition about stuff, and it just made the movie incredibly slow and really boring at times, and I was like, come on, let's get back to the animatronics and do some fun stuff with that. Let's not keep talking about stuff we probably already know already. So, very annoying stuff, a lot of exposition dump, and it was very annoying. One thing that really bugged me about this movie was the amount of dream sequences that take place with, Mike going back to his, past and trying to figure something out. It was okay, but there came a point where they kept cutting back to it so many times that it just felt repetitive, and I was like, can we stop doing these dream sequences? It's just kind of becoming really annoying and repetitive, and there came a point where I got really sick of it. It was okay, it just became really repetitive, and I just got kind of sick of it. So that was something that really bugged me. There was something really weird they do with the animatronics in the middle of the movie. They actually just full on decide to just make the animatronics cute and adorable. For the first bit of the movie, the animatronics are making the whole audience fucking scream like this. And then all of a sudden, they're making the audience just make sounds like this. Aww. The way they handled that, and with some weird song choices and this weird montage, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It was kind of weird the way they handled it. It was kind of fun, but it wasn't like scary. Like, I thought this movie was gonna be scary. Why are we all of a sudden having like some silly music and this weird montage, and like, what the hell has happened to this movie? What is going on? So that was a bit weird. I didn't hate it, I didn't despise it, but I didn't need it. I was like, okay, that was kind of funny and fun, but kind of goofy and like weird and random. I was like, what was that? So yeah, it was okay, but it was something that kind of bugged me. I was like, okay, that was a little too much, a little too silly. And if I had to nitpick about anything else, I mean, I've already said the PG-13 rating was okay, and there was some blood here and there, but I think it could have been better. There were times where they just full-on cut away, didn't show anything, and it was just like, okay, you could have clearly done more with that, but okay. Matthew Lillard was, I mean, I already said it, he was great in this movie, but I wish we got to see more of him. He is going to probably be in more sequels, as you know, but yeah, I just wish we got to see more of him. It would have been cool. There's some pretty bad dialogue here and there. There's one part, I think during the third act, where a character says, "Go to hell," and I'm just like, I don't know. It was just a line I feel like we've heard so many times in movies, and it's just such a cliche line. I don't know. Some iffy dialogue here and there, and that's about all I can say. So yeah, a lot of issues. It's definitely not a perfect movie, but you could feel the passion that Scott Cawthon, director Tammi, and all of the actors put into this movie. They cared. They wanted to please the fans. And yeah, although it's not perfect, I still had a fairly good time with this movie. Like everything, like the acting was really good. Animatronics looked amazing, and the way they move was really cool. The set, the look of this movie, the pizzeria felt weirdly nostalgic in a way. And yeah, man, I walked out very satisfied. All of the nods, Easter eggs, everything, all of that was great. And yeah, the movie has a lot of issues, but I can't wait to see what they do next with sequels. I hope they make sequels. I really want to see what else they do with this world. And to be honest, I was fairly satisfied with the FNAF movie. I had a good time, and I'm glad it finally exists. But would I recommend you guys go see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Well, it's pretty simple. If you are not at all a FNAF fan, you couldn't give a shit, but you still want to watch the movie anyways for fun, then just wait until it comes out in digital or until it comes out on a streaming service or something. It's really not worth your time. Going all the way out the series in the theater, you probably won't even like it. Like, honestly, it's not worth your time. But if you're a FNAF fan who, maybe recently became a fan, or if you're one of the OGs who grew up playing the games ever since 2014 or 15, yes, this movie is made for you. You have to go check it out. You might not like it. You might not be all that happy with it, but you might end up walking out being fairly satisfied like I was, and you might like it. You might be very pleased with the movie. So yeah, and I just can't believe this movie finally exists. It is absolutely insane. I'm just so happy. So for all FNAF fans, you have to go check it out. You might not like it, you might like it, but just go see it, please. It should be worth your time. Alright guys, well that is it. That is the end of my review for Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I'm just happy that this movie exists, and I'm for sure we're gonna get sequels because it's gonna make a chockload of fucking money, or like a whole lot of money, too much money. So yeah, can't wait for the sequels. And yeah, please comment down below if you thought this was worth waiting 8 years for, if it was worth the wait or not. Let me know in the comment section below. And oh, there's some music in the background over there. Yeah, I gotta go celebrate knowing that the FNAF movie finally exists. We have a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, so yeah, I gotta go celebrate now, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Bye.